Welcome to BBC World News with me, Tim Willcox. Our top stories. A draft declaration on the final day of the COP26 summit. But how genuinely ambitious is it on reducing emissions from fossil fuels? The document does call for more detail more quickly on how countries will reduce emissions. But will those provisions survive the negotiation process?
I'm Fraser in Glasgow, where COP26 was due to close in a couple of hours from now, although no one expects that to happen in practice.
Also today, Myanmar jails a US journalist for 11 years after accusing him of endangering the reputation of the country's military rulers. And with thousands of migrants stranded on the border between Belarus and Poland, we look at the dangers they face, caught in freezing conditions and a burning political row. Hello and welcome to BBC World News. A new draft agreement at the COP26 Climate Summit in Glasgow has been released on this, the conference's final day. But how ambitious is it and what has been achieved? Well, amid the calls on governments around the world to do more to tackle global warming, some of the language has been strengthened, while elsewhere it has been weakened. For example, on the requirements for governments to reduce the use of carbon-emitting fossil fuels. Well, let's get the very latest to see where we are at this particular moment to my colleague Fraser, who joins us live from Glasgow.
Welcome to Glasgow and our continuing coverage of COP26. Officially, the gavel is supposed to come down on this summit in 2 hours' time, but the expectation is the negotiations will continue well into the night. This morning, though, a new draft agreement described as the near final text was published, and there's frustration among many observers that it doesn't go far enough. In the last few hours, the countries came together in this room here behind me for a stock take on where we've got to. So let's just outline very quickly the areas that are still outstanding, still to be negotiated, starting with fossil fuels. So a key clause on coal and fossil fuel subsidies is still in the text, though the new proposal appears to tone down language from the draft that was issued on Wednesday. Another sticking point is financial aid. The developing countries say money for adapting economies to the climate change that they're already facing must be doubled, and they want the language in that text strengthened. And then there is still disagreement in the room on when countries should return with enhanced pledges to cut their carbon emissions. Now, under the Paris rules, that should happen every 5 years. The COP presidency want the parties to come back next year with new commitments. The president of COP26, Alex Sharma, says he's confident they can get there with a bit of that can-do spirit, and he's invited them to put forward pragmatic and workable solutions on the floor. Here's a selection of some of the views that we've heard.